Well, they're live. She can rewind it, but like This regular board meeting of the Socorro ISD Board of Trustees will come to order. We've confirmed a quorum, and the time is 6:03. The date is August 16th. Tonight, we have a special guest leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. One of our outstanding students from Eastlake High School will lead us in the pledge. Sienna Nuno is a senior and Eastlake High School's competitive cheer captain. She is a straight A student on track to earn an associate degree from El Paso Community College through Eastlake's Falcon Early College in December. In addition to her studies in cheerleading, Sienna was crowned Miss El Paso Teen USA this May. Yes. In her Miss El Paso teen role, Sienna proudly represents the city and Socorro ISD. Sienna credits her education and her pageant experience with helping her become the best version of herself. Sienna is on course to graduate next year in the top 6% of her class. After high school, she plans to attend the University of Texas at Austin and study public relations, marketing, and business. Her goal is to become an entrepreneur and help small businesses grow and thrive in the community. We wish you all the best, Sienna. Please join us in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sienna?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Let's give Sienna a round of applause, please. Okay. Continuing with our agenda, Superintendent's comments. Dr. Carmen.
Thank you, Mr. Naheda. Good evening, President Naheda, members of the board, and also to our Socorro ISD community. I'd like to wish our board president, Mr. Naheda, a very happy belated birthday. His birthday was August 15th.
Thank you. I know I don't look it, but 50. Yes.
We have some new personnel introductions, some new leaders here in Socorro ISD. Help me welcome Aida Candelaria as our new Assistant Director for Human Resources. And not new to the district, I'd like to welcome Mr. Juan Baruman as the new Assistant Principal of Eastlake Middle School. We had a great start to the new school year 2 weeks ago. Everything went smoothly. I want to thank all of our teachers, our principals, and our staff for doing a great job welcoming our students back, assisting parents, and ensuring systems are in place for efficient operations at your schools. In nearly 30 years of education, I don't know that I've seen a smoother start to our school year, so congratulations to our staff. Great job. I appreciate everyone at SISD for helping us start off strong and for the team effort, including parents, community members, and district staff, getting our students going on the right track. I'm also proud that we successfully launched Eastlake Middle School and the new elementary academies at Ernesto Serna, O'Shea Kelleher, Sierra Vista, and Vista del Sol with great energy to provide new opportunities for our students. Two upcoming events. We have our Walk for Success call out on Saturday, August 26th from 9 a.m. to noon, and our actual Walk for Success event on Saturday, September 9th from 9 a.m. to noon as well. Those conclude my my comments.
Thank you, sir. All right. Continuing then with the next item, board honors. Mr. Escobar.
Good evening, President Nakara, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Carmen. My name is Daniel Escobar, Chief Communications Officer for the district, and it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's recognitions. If you'll please step down to receive our honorees. Our first recognition honors students from the Pebble Hills High School Band and Orchestra who received the Gold Medal Outstanding Performer Award at the 2023 UIL Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest. These students received gold medals for earning the Division I rating at the UIL State Contest. Congratulations to these outstanding students. Javier Marquez. Kiani Olvera. Their director, Maximo Sierra. Paloma Arellano. And director, Eduardo Garcia. If we can have you back to the front for a photo, please. And just a quick note, as they are posing and getting together for this photo, that the pictures taken by our district photographer, Mr. Largo, are posted on our district website. There's a camera icon where it takes you to our smug mug, and the photos are available for free high-resolution download. Congratulations once again. Next, we recognize 4 Eastlake High School quartets for being selected to perform at international and national competitions and conferences. The saxophone and trombone quartets were the first chamber ensembles from El Paso to compete against dozens of other ensembles from around the world at the 50th Annual Fish-Off Chamber Music Competition at the University of Notre Dame. For a second year in a row, Eastlake's Low Brass Quartet was invited to perform at the International Tuba Euphonium Conference at Arizona State University. And after an impressive audition, Eastlake's Trumpet Quartet was selected to perform at the 47th Annual International Trumpet Guild Conference in Minneapolis. Congratulations to these outstanding musicians for representing Team SISD. They are Tyler Burnett, Victor Bursting, Bianca Magallanes, Omar Mendiola, Christopher Olivas, Nathan Olivas, Hugo Ponce de Leon, Jonathan Ramirez, Ileana Smith, David Villa, David Guerrero. Their directors are Jesus Perez, Caleb Tullius, and Nicolas Flood. If we can have you back up to the front for a photo, please. Yeah. We have the front row move over a little bit. Congratulations once again. Tonight's final recognition honors students who represented Socorro ISD at the Education in Action Summer 2023 Lone Star Leadership Academy camps. These exceptional students were nominated by their teachers last year for the statewide leadership program. The students were selected for their outstanding academic success, demonstrated leadership ability, and involvement in school and community activities. The students traveled to Dallas-Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston-Galveston to take part in the camps. Congratulations to these future leaders. From John Drugan School, Sebastian Carrillo. From Sanchez Middle School, Valerie Chavez. From Montwood Middle School, Isabel Lopez. From Enzer Middle School, Sofia Nolasco. From Montwood Middle School, Rodrigo Perez. From John Drugan School, Yahir Sarabia. And from Socorro Middle School, Peter Villa. All right, keep smiling, look straight ahead. Keep smiling, big smiles. All right, congratulations once again. And that concludes our recognitions for this evening.
All right. Continuing with our agenda, trustee business, discussion and possible action regarding a minor boundary modification for Pegasus Logistics and Foreign Trade Zone 68 expansion. Ms. Bettis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. President Nahara, members of the board, Dr. Carmen. My name is Vicki Bettis, Chief Financial Officer, and this evening we have David Penko from the FTZ. He's the FTZ manager, and I'd like to invite him to the podium. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I wanted to show a quick presentation on the expansion. The Foreign Trade Zone 68 has been active since 1982, and the Foreign Trade Zone program allows companies to save customs fees, optimize their global supply chains, put money on the bottom line, and reinvest that back into their companies. It allows them to grow their business and create more jobs in our region. And what this expansion is the current foreign trade zone has virtual boundaries around different industrial parks around the city of El Paso, many of them in Socorro District. And these virtual boundaries are set through this expansion. We want to create more virtual boundaries because the industrial parks have been growing, and everywhere you look around here, you see cranes and new buildings going up. The industrial parks are growing really good. And by putting these virtual boundaries around these industrial parks, it makes the land and buildings more attractive to bring companies in to help us fill those buildings, create more jobs, and expand the tax base. And so what we're asking for right now is for a support letter from the Socorro Independent School District for the expansion. This will allow us to take the application to the Department of Commerce to get the approval to do this expansion. And what we have in the area, we have 4 magnet sites in the Socorro Independent School District boundaries. We'll be incorporating 2 current single-user sites, which are basically one building, into the magnets, and then we'll still have, so we'll end up with 4 magnet sites. And with that, I have a map here that shows, when you see the map, you can see El Paso County. Our service area for our foreign trade zone is the entire El Paso County. We've already gone to the El Paso Commissioner's Court and gotten their approval. And you can see on this map, everything that's in blue are the current virtual boundaries that have been established on industrial parks, and everything that's in red are those expansion areas. And if you look on the left-hand side of the presentation, you can see the 4 areas that will become the magnet sites in the Socorro Independent School District area. Site 3 currently exists, but we're going to grow it with all the buildings that are basically across the street from us, where all the brand new buildings are going up. We already have a lot of facilities in those virtual boundaries, but we want to expand it to capture all those new buildings coming in. There's a site number 19 on the map, and it's on the corner of Montana and 375. It's been part of Site 3 for many years, but because of where it is, it's so far away from the intersection of 375 and I-10, we want to make it its own magnet site. And a magnet site is basically an industrial park with lots of buildings, and it's open for a lot of companies. And they've already got plans to start making that an industrial park out in that area. So we want to make that a site by itself. There's a new site coming in. It's halfway up 375 between I-10 and Montana, right there on the corner of Windermere and Joe Battle. And if you drive up and down Joe Battle, you see the buildings already going up. That will become another magnet site, which will have companies in there and a lot more jobs. And then just down there on the corner of 375 and North Loop, there's a site that's planned to be built very quickly here. It's in the El Paso County limits. It's not in Socorro city limits, but it is in the Socorro Independent School boundaries. And so looking at these different sites, so these are the sites that we would have in Socorro. We did add another site called Site 20. Believe it or not, the Horizon City Industrial Park site that Horizon City is asking us to put in there, Socorro Independent School District actually cuts that site. A piece of it actually is in the Socorro Independent School District, and I'll show you these individual maps here. This is the Site 3, the corner of 375 and I-10, and you can see all the blue areas where we would be adding virtual boundaries. The red on this one are boundaries that already exist. This is the one up on Montana and 375. This one already exists. We're just going to break it off of Site 3 and make it its own magnet site. This is the new Windermere Industrial Park area. You can see some of the plans that have been laid out, and those buildings are already going up. This is Site 20. This is the Horizon City Industrial Park. They've already given us approval to bring the boundaries around their area, but if you can see that the Socorro Independent School District, it cuts right through the left-hand side of those boundaries that have been established. There's actually one building that splits between Clint and Socorro, and they've expressed interest of utilizing that at Foreign Trade Zone program as well. And then the last map is the land that's down there on 375 and North Loop. It's a development being put together by Kimberly Horn, and it's a very good site. It's very close to the Zaragoza Bridge. To the right of it will be another magnet site that will be in the Socorro city limits, and I don't have that on the map, but it basically shares the eastern border of this particular boundary. And with that, that is pretty much my presentation on what is the expansion, what does it consist of. And so I'm asking the board to for a letter of support for the expansion, and we can then take the application to the Department of Commerce. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Question, on any of these sites, does the district own any land for future buildings or future schools?
Does the Socorro Independent School District own? No, because all of the land, we have to get permission, a letter of permission from the landowner as well. And we have all of those, and none of those were Socorro Independent School District lands.
Perfect. And in these sites, how close are any homes to those sites? Any potential of our students that live within these areas?
If I go back to, in this site 22, it's all surrounded by farmland. This site here is, it is to the west of Horizon City, but it's away from actual residential areas.
Is that one kind of near that IDEA school out Horizon and Darrington?
I'm not sure where that particular school is,
Okay.
no. This one is, you can see just to the north of it, everything north of Windermere is residential. Okay, to the south of the Windermere is the new Harmony School that they've just expanded. This side out here on the corner of Montana and 375, it's not near any residential at all. And then Site 3, you can see that it sort of wraps around some of the residential areas. They've built a lot of new roads because they want to keep all the truck traffic off of Paseo del Este, because I live right off of Paseo del Este myself. And so none of the trucks that go into these industrial parks will go on to Paseo del Este. They built all these new roads that keep them down here on Rojas and out to 375 and out to I-10.
And you alluded to my next question, which is, do we have any schools within those sites that the traffic would then become more compromised because now we have semis or other traffic that wasn't there based on the new industrial parks that you're?
No, there's no schools near these industrial parks.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Panko, I assume that one of the benefits or one of the results of creating or receiving a letter of support and then creating these areas, that we basically then encourage where this commercial traffic then is routed to. So by doing this, these are designated areas. We make sure that that commercial traffic goes only, or there's encouragement there for these, huge trucks, and the warehouses and all the other logistical things that support them are then contained within these areas. So we don't have, these massive trucks everywhere, but rather instead they're encouraged to stay here. And
They kind of had a funnel, and all of these are located right next to major roads.
Right.
So that they're going to funnel off out to Interstate 10. They're going to funnel off where they can go to the Zaragoza Bridge. So that's why they're all very close to 375 and I-10.
I also then would expect that with the approval of the FTZ, then we also have the city, the county, and then the federal government support for the infrastructure that's going to follow, right? And it would be
Yes.
improved in these areas?
Yes, and we work with the Metropolitan Planning Organization and TxDOT as these are developed, and we have been working with them to identify where would those virtual boundaries go for the new foreign trade zone boundaries, because we want to put them around existing and proposed industrial parks.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, one last
Oh, no
question. Will residents in that area, if there are any, will they have the opportunity to voice any concerns at a different public forum when this moves forward?
Once we turn in the application to the Department of Commerce, there is a 4-month public comment period. It goes into the Federal Register. They take public comments for 4 months before they make the decision. Will they approve the boundaries expansion? This is the largest expansion that's been done in 18 years. There has not been one done in 18 years, and there really should have been a few in between the last one, 2005 and now. And so we've gone to the city, the county, we've gone to Horizon City, we're going to every single school district, because every single school district has a part of this expansion. I think Socorro has probably the biggest one. Our most active foreign trade zone is this site right here, Site 3. Yeah, this site brings a lot of jobs to El Paso.
Thank you.
I believe then we need a motion either for or against a letter of support for Foreign Trade Zone 68 boundary modification application for Pegasus Logistics Group at 12291 Gateway Boulevard West, El Paso, Texas 79936, and the same for Foreign Trade Zone 68 to expand FTZ designation service boundaries within the Socorro Independent School District boundaries.
Motion to approve letter of support.
Second.
A motion to approve made by Ms. Nájera, a second by Ms. Gardea. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll proceed with open forum. Board encourages comments from members of the public. However, the primary purpose of this meeting is to conduct district business. Therefore, to ensure the efficient conduct of this meeting, all speakers must comply with the following rules. Address the board at all times. Only persons who have timely signed up to speak will be called to speak. Comments should pertain to district issues or business. In accordance with board policy, respect the rights of others, display civility and decorum, and refrain from using harmful and offensive content such as defamatory, obscene, or fighting words or gestures. Complaints will be referred to a grievance policy. Please do not engage in conduct that disrupts or delays this meeting. Each speaker is legally responsible for the content and consequences of his or her own statements. In order to have enough time to complete all items on the agenda, each speaker will be given 5 minutes. And if a person speaks on multiple agenda items, not more than a total of 5 minutes. All speakers will be called to speak during open forum. The presiding officer will take all necessary measures to ensure that order and decorum is preserved during the meeting. We expect all persons to promptly comply with the presiding officer's directives. By law, the board cannot discuss or act on any item which is not posted on the agenda. Thank you for your cooperation. Let's proceed with open forum. And our first speaker is Michelle Miller and Sarika Barlow.
Short paper problems. Good evening, trustees. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Michelle Miller, and I am the president of the YWCA Board of Directors. And here with me, I have part of our Walk a Mile team, which is what we are here to talk to you about a little bit today. And we have our best model, Gus Cohen, who will show you how easy it is to walk in red high heels, how fashionable it is, and by doing that, you're impacting lives of many women and children. On behalf of the YWCA Board of Directors, I want to thank the district for all you do for us. You have been one of our biggest champions and supporters. Last year, you raised $35,000, which went to our Transitional Living Center, and y'all impacted the lives of so many women and children. So thank you so much. Yay! Dr. Carmen, thank you for your support. You alone also raised a lot of money, so we truly appreciate you, and we treasure our partnership. And now to talk to you a little bit is our CEO, Sarika Barlow.
Our distinguished board president and our superintendent, and to the trustees, I want to present to you the most hailed trophy that we know from Walk a Mile. This is the Dee Dee Rogers Walk a Mile Trophy, and I would like to let you know that SISD is the reigning champion for the most outstanding organization and funding for not only 1 year, not only 2 years, but for 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2019, there was a COVID year in there, we don't want to count that. 2019, 2021, and 2022 are reigning champions. And so what we want to do is to encourage you to come out on October the 19th at San Jacinto Plaza, wearing your heels, bring all of your male allies out, so that this one blank spot that we have left on the trophy, I want to make sure all the trustees see it, that it will have Socorro's name on it for another year. So we hope to see you. All of these proceeds, no jokes aside, or putting all of that aside, will benefit children, families, women that are often fleeing domestic violence. So we make light of it so we can get the audience out and the supporters out, but really it's a very serious topic, and we want your support, and we ask you to continue to get the word out, get your teams going, and let's beat all of those other ISDs that we won't call out today. Thank you.
Let's take a picture.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
Move this out of the way.
Thanks again, Ms. Miller and Ms. Barlow. Our next speaker, Ms. Tammy Hernandez.
Good evening, Board President Nájera, board members, Superintendent Dr. Carmen. I am here to speak on behalf of my two beautiful, amazing daughters. My fifth grader and second grader attend Benito Martinez Elementary and are in a special education unit, FLS. So many parents started off the school year excited. I did not share that same excitement because my daughter's FLS unit does not have a certified SPED teacher. When my fifth grader was in third grade in this unit at Benito, they didn't have a certified SPED teacher all year long. I do not and will not accept this. My daughter's classroom is a diverse, beautiful classroom that has students that are nonverbal, like my two daughters, students that have Down syndrome, and students that are in wheelchairs. Functional life skills, that is what FLS stands for. My daughters and her classmates are in this class to learn life skills, to have different opportunities by going on field trips, doing activities that a certified SPED teacher can provide them. At the last board meeting, it was asked how many unfilled SPED positions there were, and it could not be answered. I went online and I counted 19 unfilled SPED positions I asked myself, why are there no SPED teachers applying to work in this district? This is the third week of school, and my daughters still, and many other SPED classes, do not have a certified SPED teacher. Could it be the amazing and deserving stipends that are given to SPED teachers by other districts here in El Paso? Does SISD need to do more to recruit and retain SPED teachers, staff, OTs, PTs, and speech-language pathologists? My daughters and her classmates deserve quality instruction that a certified SPED teacher can provide. My daughters deserve the best services. It's the law. It is bound in their IEPs. In going on SISD's website, it says, students shall receive a high-quality education in a safe and supportive environment with equitable access to learning opportunities, allowing them to realize their full potential. How can my daughters and their classmates reach their full potential without proper and safe instruction from a certified SPED teacher? SISD claims that all students have endless opportunities. If you say all students have endless opportunities, that means all at-risk and at-risk students as well. I want to acknowledge Benito's principal, Dr. Wright. From the start, she has been transparent and open to how she has been supporting the students and aides in this class. But she can only do so much. It's the district that needs to do more. I also want to acknowledge the amazing aides in my daughter's class. They have gone above and beyond for this class. They deserve so much more. In closing, I just want to say the frustration and anxiety I have felt in these past weeks, I wish no parent to feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Our next speaker, yes, ma'am.
Dr. Carmen, could you ensure that that is addressed and we could provide some support for Benito Martinez, especially that FLS classroom?
Yes, ma'am. There are several openings. We have been recruiting to the best of the ability within the HR department, but yes, the special department, I believe, is providing support to each of these classrooms. Yes, ma'am.
Our next speaker, Alfredo Aguerro.
Good afternoon to everybody, to all the present here. My name is Alfredo Agüero. I'm a community organizer on special education. The reason for me here is because I like to ask if it's possible to start conversations to elaborate some workshops for special education parents so they can learn the rights and responsibilities on special ed. because I believe that it's very necessary for us, because I'm a father of one special ed kid. And we have to learn our rights so we can advocate for our own kids. Sometimes we not even know where to go to ask for help. I write this that political and legal structure is a problem, because this is not a help student. We all know that each school have their own principals and their own entities. This makes it very difficult to help students with special education. When parents start to look for help for their kids, they have to go to the principals, and the special ed personnel do not guide parents in where to go to get help. When this happens, and after talking to the school district superintendent and special education directors, the last option is the board members. So that's one of the reasons I'm here, because I believe that we have to learn how to advocate for our own kids. Because sometimes even the advocates we hire or represent our kids, we don't know if they tell us the truth or not. And that happens to me. I hired 2 different attorneys. They disappear the sooner they get their fees. I didn't know nothing about them again. So I like to know if it's possible, because the other issue I had is a lot of our kids need help to restorative justice. A lot of the special ed kids are in jail. Most of them, most of the youth are in jail, have mental illness. That's a special education. So I represent the organization's Time Done. We help people who came out of jail, because it's 7 million American people with all records, with 40+ thousand collateral consequences. 40,000. After this is the post-conviction poverty, give us a lot of barriers to have a decent life for our families. We have a program called Sunset. It's to help people to remove records, and this is to action to policy and future safety of our neighborhoods. I like to ask if it's possible to start talking about this, because the school districts is not just here in Texas, in the whole nation, get their own school police departments. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I think we have to know if they really are ready to get interactive with the special ed kids. We know the autistic kids, sometimes we not even approach to them. The only people who can approach is the parents. If they don't recognize the other people, first thing is they push them away. And that's an excuse sometimes to put them on the system. I'd like to know if it's possible to have a conversation about this, because we're gonna make the difference. We know the African American, Mexican people, we are the people who are suffering more of these problematic situations. We have to start making the difference, and I'd like to know, Mr. Carmen, if it's possible to have a meeting and start talking about this. So I can give you a call and see if I can get an appointment with you. And I came here because parents start talking to me, and they are afraid. They are afraid to come here. Retaliations is what they get after they start talking about the problems they got with their kids in the schools. So please, help us to make the difference. Thank you.
Dr. Carmen, can we ensure that we have a more inviting atmosphere for all these organizations to go ahead and present workshops, but also I'm requesting that we put it out there to the parents. This way they're more educated, more versed on their rights, other than just the safeguarding procedures that they get when they attend the ARDs.
Yeah, Mr. Barrera, I think we provide monthly parent meetings right now, but we can certainly have a report to the board from our special education department regarding the specificities of that, how it's communicated, what's included in those parent meetings as far as the agenda and so forth. But yes, we can provide an update to the board.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Mr. Agüero. Our next speaker, Mr. Tom Lane.
Board President, Mr. Nahara, Superintendent Dr. Carmen, and members of the board, my name is Tom Lane. I'm a retired Special Ed Transition Services Coordinator from Socorro ISD. And I want to let you know that the work that is done by the Special Education Department is vital to the success of students with disabilities. And many of those students after graduation will rely on broken systems funding long-term disability support services through the state of Texas. These are the Medicaid waivers provided through Texas Health and Human Services. And right now, as of June 2023, there are more than 160,000 unique individuals as Texans waiting on those long-term services. It's absolutely essential that special education be able to connect students at the very youngest age. And when I was a transition services coordinator, I felt my team was woefully understaffed to be able to deliver and to help those parents, and I see no change with staffing today. Now, I want to share with you that the services are very vital that are done by special education. I know, you know, it's not fully funded by the federal government. Within the disability community, nobody seriously considers that the state of Texas does its due diligence in fully funding what it should for special education services. I've lived that struggle trying to provide those services for many, many years. I can only understand how much more difficult it is today for the special education department. Unlike other years, this year, I've heard several parental complaints, neither of whom were speaking tonight. And that's different because that's not my experience with SISD. Normally, SISD is that shining light that's up on a hill that everybody looks to. Some of those concerns are unfilled vacancies in special education that were mentioned tonight. Other concerns are just the reassignment of special ed clerks. Many of our parents see these clerks as their go-to person on the campus that they can rely on to get information about their child's upcoming ARD, to return paperwork, and just to also follow up on any special ed transportation issues. And so parents are feeling very disconnected right now from their campuses. I know there's a comment made earlier regarding training, and I know Dr. Carmen, you had mentioned that there are monthly meetings. The feedback that I'm hearing is the parents don't feel maybe fully welcome at those meetings because those meetings are all done virtually. And so they're wanting something that maybe presents a little bit more welcoming. So I really ask that this team take a look at what's important for the students, because at the end of the day, when those students do graduate, they're going to be waiting 17, 18, 19, maybe 20 years for services. And these students, they deserve so much more. The parents, they're frustrated, and I know you all will work together to find a way to support them.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Mr. Lane was our last speaker, so we'll continue then with our next agenda item. And that's a presentation on the proposed 2023-2024 tax rate, followed by the public hearing. Ms. Bettis?
Good evening again. My name is Vicki Perez, Chief Financial Officer. So this evening, we will be discussing our proposed tax rate. Let me get to my page here. So to start off, I do want to talk about the adopted budget. This was based off of the original tax rate, and so that we have a point of reference whenever we are talking about maintenance and operation, we are talking about the general fund. And that is anything under 199, and that takes care of everything between functions 11 and 99 with the exception of food service, which is 35, and 71 debt service payments. And those are the payments that we make to our bonds. So that would be the INS, Interest and Sinking Fund. So currently our total appraised and taxable values, I think this is important to see because we can tell just how much of an increase we have or a decrease. In this instance, the preceding tax year had $19.3 billion in appraised value. In the current year, we are at $24.2 billion. So that is attributed to a lot of the construction that we've had, new homes, and definitely the East Lake area. We have a huge amount of booming businesses going up there. The appraised value of new property is $1.2 billion, and the current is $1 billion. The taxable value of all property last year was 14.5. This year we're at 14.1. And new property, last year we were at 908 million. This year we are at 911 million. So looking at the impact of the tax rate on the average resident, I want to preface this by saying that the tax rate that we are proposing this year is exactly the same. The only difference is that the maximum compressed rate was lowered by our legislation, and we are proposing that it goes from M&O over to INS. So the average market value for residents this year is $228,000. The taxable value with the new $100,000 exemption, the exemption of $100,000 that was increased is $128,000. Our tax rate is 1.249712. So the average taxes due on the average home would be $1,660.98, which is a decrease of $150.04 compared to last year. And I do want to let you know that this is, I think, 52 cents difference from what was published. I did have the average market value incorrect on that one, so I do want to make sure that that was noted. And so the next slide, we do have the tax rate history, and this will show a difference from one year to another. The bottom blue section would be the maintenance and operations section, and the yellow is the interest and sinking. And so we have a range from 1.2748 up to 1.3806 in 2019, and we are requesting a tax rate of 1.2497 for the 2024 tax year. I do think it's important that we look at our comparison of maintenance and operation as well as the INS tax rates compared to our neighboring districts. We are the third in our Region 19 area, the lowest being 0.985 and the highest being 1.4589. Again, we are requesting the maintenance and operation and INS tax rate combined to be at 1.249712. So a couple of pieces of information on the tax rate adoption. It's required that we publish a notice between 10 and 30 days of the public hearing. And so that the tax rate was published on August 4th on the El Paso Times. The proposed rate for maintenance and operation specifically is 0.75460. Interest and sinking should be 0.495112 for a total rate of 124.9712. And again, this is no increase from the prior year. And at this time, I will open up for any questions that you may have.
We have questions for Ms. Perez? Since this is a public hearing, do we have anyone in the audience who would like to comment? Mr. Lane?
I do have a couple of concerns with the proposed tax rate. First, the proposed tax rate is the highest that could be set without seeking voter approval. It was mentioned as a no-change tax rate from last year, and I think that's misleading because under state law, what calculates a increase or decrease in taxes is not the actual tax rate. You can have a tax rate stay the same, and under state law, you can actually have an increase or a decrease in property taxes. And so that wasn't fully clear in the presentation today, nor was that information noted in the public notice. My second concern is just the overall amount of debt owed by the district. The interest and sinking fund portion of that 124 is 45 cents and some change. And that represents 39.6% of property tax revenue. And what that means, you know, if the district were a person and wanted to go out and get a home, it wouldn't qualify for a mortgage because 39.6 is way over what banks would consider for a mortgage. And so I know there's a lot of challenges on the district, but I think it's essential that the district at this time really look at reducing its debt load as best as it can, including holding off on any new debt to be issued until the current debt can be lowered. So those are my comments.
Any other speakers? And that closes our public hearing. Moving on to the next agenda item, district reports. We have the quarterly investment report. Mr. Vargas.
Good evening, President Nahara, Dr. Carmen, members of the board. My name is Rene Vargas, Director of Business Services, and I'll be presenting the fourth quarter investment report for 22-23. Starting off here on the first page, you can see that we have our different category funds as in the past quarters. And in the far left, we have our different pools, which are 6 pools in total, plus our Wells Fargo. And starting off, as you can see, there's a book value and a market value. There's only one fund that there's a variance between the market and the pool. All others are the same. And that's the second pool, which is the LSIP. You can see it's a slight difference. It's not, the variance is very minimal. On this particular category, we did start with 175.4 million and ended up with 103.9 million book value. The interest that we earned in this category was 1,712,612. And as you notice, there's an asterisk in the last row in Wells Fargo. We did indicate this in a couple of the funds where we call that it's accrued interest. So our auditors wanted us to reflect that when it was incurred. And what that means is you incurred it, but you not necessarily was paid out yet. And on that 246 that you see there, we added another 72,000. Our next category is the health insurance fund investment, and this one is pretty stable. As you can see, we started with 3.4 million, ended up with 3.5, which is just the addition of the 43,000 that we made in interest. The same with workman's comp, which is the next one. And as you can see, we started on this one with 422,000, ended up with 428, and that's just, again, just adding the 5270 in interest that we earned. And the last one in this page, as you can see, is our debt, which is the interest and sinking fund. And on this one, we had 76.3 million and ended up with 77.4. The interest we earned on this one was 921,911. Again, there's an asterisk in this one. As you can see, the second to the last row on Texas term, you'll see that there's an asterisk there. And the reason for that is because it hadn't matured by June 30th, but we had to report what we earned for that period of time. Okay, following that, we have our construction fund. And on this one, we do have all of them. And by this one, you might see that it's in there more than twice. On the other accounts, we have either select funds or government funds. And that merely means that the government funds are more secure than the others. The others could be commercial paper, mutual funds, and other investment vehicles. So on this one, the construction fund, you'll see that we started with 49.9 million, and we ended up with 39.065. Again, a lot of the projects that are being completed affects what we have in this fund. The interest we earned on this category was 585,800. And our next fund is our food service investment fund. This one, again, is another one that's very stable. As you can see, we just have it in there twice. Again, it's just moving, shifting money around. We find it more productive if we find and make a little more yield if we move it from the government to the select or vice versa. And as you can see, it's just something that we get. We started with 413,236, ended up with 418,471. Again, just adding the 5,200 we made in interest. For the last quarter that we did, April through June, we did make $3,273,995 in interest for that particular quarter. And we'll be reporting how much we made for the entire year. It's very good news that it looks brighter and brighter each time that we report to you. As you can see, there's a little summary in the bottom where it gives you the beginning and ending, whether it's book value or market value, and there's that slight variance that you can see is where it's maybe like $1,200 in total, the variance from one to the other. We do have all the investment officers sign off and kind of review it, make sure that we're all on the same page and that it's reported accurately. Following that, we have our interest and rating verifications. We do verify each and every pool. As you can see, we've named every pool for you, starting with text pool. And we do look that the ratings are what our policy says. In this case, it's AAAs, and we do verify that it is. As you can see, each category, each investment pool, we do verify each month. And we take this very serious so that we make sure we're following the policy. Once it's verified, we do, a couple of individuals signed off on it to make sure that it's verified and give assurance that it is. And that concludes the fourth quarter. Are there any questions I may answer?
Questions? No questions. Thank you, Mr. Vargas. We continue then. That was the quarterly report. Now we have the annual investment report.
Yes, sir. Oh, there. And for this report, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ryan Canales. He's from TCG Advisors. He's part of the Hub Group, and he'll be reporting the annual report.
Thank you. President Nahara, Superintendent Carmen, and the fellow board members. I just want to say I'm very proud to be here. 30 years ago, May 1993, I graduated high school here in El Paso, Texas. And I'm glad to be back here and presenting this report to you. For those of you that aren't aware, Hub TCG is the financial advisor for the district, and we'll be going over the annual investment report, and then I'd like to speak a little bit about our process and how we came about this. The annual report is part of the fiduciary process that we have to provide on an annual basis. So I just want to make mention of that. That's part of the Public Finance Investment Act. So, all right. So as we're looking through the yields, you can see here at the chart at the bottom that the yields went up considerably, right, for the year. The pool funds that we had, as well as the money market funds and the other treasury funds that we had, all seem to do very, very well for you guys. And we are very proud to have brought on some of these additional investments that were not previously part of the investments that you were provided previously. As you can see on this slide, year over year, from last year to this year, the interest earned was considerably higher. The way that we've outlined this is very simple. We've used the district's own funds and just broken out by which investments are being used. So here is the text pool, and you'll see the general fund, the internet interest and sinking fund, the food service, health insurance, construction funds in there, right? The next fund that you'll look at is the first public pool fund, and once again, you'll see all the breakdown based on the investments that we have from the funds: general fund, workers' comp, interest in seeking, food service, construction, so on and so forth. All right. And once again, just want to point out, year over year, from last year to this year, quite a bit more interest. Next slide. Once again, another pool fund from Logic, Texas Range, and then Texas Range Term. Once again, year over year, increasing in interest earned. Next one is the Texas Fit Government Pool, Texas Fit Cash Pool, the Wells Fargo Money Market Fund, and the Fidelity Money Market Fund. This is the beginning investment balance was $311 million, and as you can see, it's varied from quarter to quarter, going down to 224 million in the final quarter, right? I'm going to go ahead and talk about our process. If you're not aware of who we are, this is just a quick overview. Just in general, we have about 825 governmental clients in the state of Texas that we work with, $142 billion in advisory, and 7,900 retirement plans. So Hub TCG has 4 main pieces of business that we provide to government entities like Socorro Independent School District. That goes without saying: the investment advisory, property and casualty, benefit consulting, and retirement. This is a little bit about the process that we use. First and foremost, we look at the portfolio design. We become the fiduciary for the district, and we take over that fiduciary decision on your behalf. We provide investment advising, so we are not choosing the investments. We are simply providing the guidance so that your team can work through and use our information that we provide to choose the best investments. We work with your finance office. We are a tool at their disposal to help them make better decisions, right? And then we brought a larger, more vetted dealer network to the table. A little bit about the Hub TCG difference. You'll hear me talk about how well we've worked with your staff in the departments here. So we use a collaborative approach. It's team-based, right? We're just an extension of the finance office. The decisions are made in conjunction with your staff, and we work towards a consensus on that strategy. We do not make decisions without the consultation of the district staff. We have no preset allocations or portfolios. Everything is customized and researched on your behalf. Safety, of course, is the highest priority, as we are guided by the Public Finance Investment Act. A little bit about the market update. So we did have quite a bit of success last year, providing additional revenue through the investments. It wasn't all our fault or all our guidance. We were pushed along by rising interest rates, but we do want to say thank you to the team that we worked with, who were proactive in their approach and listened to us and made those decisions appropriately. Any questions? No. All right, let's go. So Markets update, yields remain elevated relative to recent history in the past 10 years. The inverted yield curve provides opportunity to lock in yields before short-term rates decline. So what we're talking about there is we're looking into the future and predicting what is going to happen with interest rates. As we were successfully predicting interest rates were rising previously, we're believing that they're going to go down in the future. So one of our suggestions is to lock in those rates now so that you don't experience those drops. In addition to that, the investment pool rates generally follow the Fed funds, both up and down. So it's good to have those monies in the pools for those purposes of liquidity. But any long-term investments, we want to see if we can lock those interest rates in that are at their highest value currently. All right. Any questions on that? No. Just want to go back. Here's our contact information, and I believe I just kind of breezed through one of the slides. I just want to make sure I make mention of it. It's probably at the beginning in the annual report. Previously, prior year, the interest earned was about $900,000. For this year, it was a gain of about $9 million. So I think we've done quite a good job. We'd like to continue to do that for you, and we're very happy working with you. Any other questions?
Any questions for Mr. Canales or Mr. Vargas? No? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item, changes to the A to F accountability system for 2023. Ms. McBain.
Good evening, Mr. Nájera, members of the board, and Dr. Carmen. This presentation is on the upcoming changes that we will see when the A through F accountability system is released on September 28th. So the A through F system rates districts and campuses annually on an A through F scale, with the goal of the system to continuously improve student performance, eliminate achievement gaps based on race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status, and to ensure the state is a national leader in preparing students for post-secondary success. The A through F system has stayed the same for the past 5 years, even though we did have those 2 years of no ratings due to the pandemic. But by statute, the indicators must be updated, and this is the year for those updates. TEA is referring to this update as a refresh because the structure of the system is not changing, but the indicators and cut scores are. This is a document that TEA released in January of this year to provide an overview of the changes that we would expect to see for the 2023 accountability cycle. In the first paragraph, the title is 2023 ratings will be different. The highlighted sentence there reads 2022 and 2023 ratings cannot be compared side by side. It is possible that a campus with an A in 2022 may improve in 2023 and yet receive a B. TEA received many inquiries, and the commissioner did feel compelled to release a message regarding the A through F refresh and the differences in ratings from last year to this year, and how TEA recommends looking at the data as we move forward.
So this year we are refreshing the A through F rating system. We will be using the information that we've gleaned over the last 5 years, all the feedback that we get from educators, from parents and others, to update the way the ratings work. And what that also means is that the ratings that you look at this year cannot be easily compared with last year's ratings. There's a few places where cut scores are actually changing, in some cases going up, and so it will no longer lead to an apples-to-apples comparison. So to try to make life easier for you, what we are doing is we're publishing preliminary what-if ratings using last year's data, but using the new rating system calculations. And so that way when ratings come out this fall, you will be able to compare this year's actual ratings with last year's sort of hypothetical what-if calculation ratings. And that way you can have a good apples-to-apples comparison on performance. We're going to also put those hypothetical what-if ratings up on texasschools.gov so that when parents or teachers or anybody in the community looks to evaluate year-over-year performance, they can compare this year's performance with last year's performance using this year's metrics. And so we hope that this helps make the job that you have as a school board easier, but it's also going to be important for all of us to kind of communicate about this to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we'll be communicating more about this in the fall when ratings come out.
So I wanted to point out a couple of things that the commissioner did mention. He mentioned that cut points will go up. So one of the examples that I wanted to share with you is in regards to CCMR. This is the second paragraph in the document that I referenced earlier. The second bullet there reads, CCMR performance has skyrocketed with average performance now at 65%, so that's statewide at 65%. Given these improvements and statutory objective of A through F to make Texas a national leader in preparing students for post-secondary success, the cut point for an A has been adjusted to 88%. This raises the bar to begin to meet Texas's definition of excellence for CCMR. So the cut point for an A previously for CCMR was 60%, so an 88 is actually a 28-point increase. So I wanted to share this example because it's important to understand that the 2022 ratings and 2023 ratings are using different methodologies. Because of the A through F refresh, 2023 ratings will be based on a different set of rules than prior A through F ratings. Last year's ratings and this year's ratings cannot be compared side by side. It is possible that a campus with an A in 2022 may improve this year and yet receive that B rating. It's not as simple as an apples-to-apples comparison this year. So another thing that the commissioner mentioned is the what-if versions of 2022 ratings using the new A through F methodology that's going to be in place for the 2023 ratings. This will allow stakeholders to get a sense of whether performance ratings issued in 2023 represent higher, lower, or similar performance as ratings issued in 2022 to support continuous improvement moving forward. At the bottom of this slide is the website where ratings will be posted in the fall. It's txschools.gov. It will provide a more apples-to-apples comparison of ratings under the refreshed cut points and methodology for 2023. So when logging onto that site, you will choose the district and campus that you want to look at, and it'll show you something similar to the screen here. In this example, this campus has a rating of a B. On the right-hand side, there will be a table that shows the change over time. So the two ratings at the top of that table are going to be what's going to be released on September 28th, the current 2023 rating, and it will also show that 2022 what-if rating. So that's going to be something that you'd be able to compare using a more apples-to-apples comparison. So this preliminary what-if presentation, it's just meant to help inform. When 2023 A through F ratings are released to the public in September, the final what-if ratings for 2021-22 should also be used to compare with the 2023 ratings. TEA is going to be releasing a communications toolkit so we can also get the word out to the community. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. McBain.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Ms. Fierro with the facilities report.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Nájera, Dr. Carmen, board members. I'm Liliana Fierro, Director of Facilities and Construction. I'm presenting to you today the Facilities and Construction Report, the projects of the 2017 bond, and for the non-bond projects that are managed by Facilities Department. Starting with the 2017 bond projects, SAC 2 and Socorro High School. The construction is still ongoing. The new combo for Cornell Ben Narbuth and East Lake Middle School. We're working on the punch list and closeout documents For El Dorado, we're working on the closeout documents, and the maintenance and facilities building, we are in the schematic design phase. It's been completed, so the next step will be the design development phase. The items 6 through 17, those projects are being completed and approved by the board. For Socorro High School, we are in the 96% of completion. The highlighted areas in blue, package 1, it's been completed and approved by the board for final payment. Package 2, phase 1 and phase 2, that we're working on punch list and warranty items. For package 3, the area, not package 2, phase 3, the highlighted area in orange is still ongoing. Right now, we're working or waiting for the stabilization of the sod in the sport fields. And here in the upper corner of the area, Lower Valley Water District is working on the new tie-in for the backflow preventer and the irrigation pump. Do you have any questions for Socorro? Okay, moving on to SAC. We are in the 64% completion. The blue highlighted areas are already completed and turned over to the district, and the pink highlighted area is still ongoing. As you can see, the fine arts area and the locker rooms area, the view towards the fine arts locker rooms areas and the south parking lot. As you can see in your right-hand side, also you can see the discus and shot put areas. View of the home side and press box, showing the glass has been placed for both of the areas. And the contractor is working on placing the concrete for the seating area on the home side. This picture shows the inside view of the VIP press box. That's your area. It's gonna look pretty nice. The next one shows the visitor side seating area, as mentioned. The contractor is also working on the placement of the concrete in both sides. And here you can see also the contractors working on the concession stands and the restrooms for this site. That's another view towards the gable walls and the future scoreboard. As you can see, the structure it's placed for the scoreboard, and the area is still, the contractor is working on this area as well. Here's some of the site building progress. Contractor is working on roofing installation, drywall placement, and of course, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing installation. And here's this another picture of the site progress. Do you have any questions for SAC 2? Okay. Moving on to the non-bond projects, we have transportation electrical bus upgrade. We have a contract approved and issued to the contractor. We have a notice to proceed for September 5th and a substantial completion of July 1st of 2024. District portables, we're still working with maintenance department and subcontractors to relocate portables at Pebble Hills and Mission Early College. For aquatic center HVAC upgrades, we are gonna present tonight the final change order and final payment for your approval. For auxiliary gyms phase 1, 2, and 3, construction is still ongoing, and substantial completions we're looking at March or February of next year. For Monwood High School parking lot, the east parking lot is gonna be completed this week. We're gonna do the punch list and work with the contractor for the completion of the list. For the west side parking lot, the construction will start on September 30th, as per request from administration, and the completion date will be by the end of November. Our goal is to complete the construction before or after the Thanksgiving break. Do you have any questions on these projects? Okay, thank you.
Pero actually, I do have
Yes, sir.
maybe a comment and clarification, because I know that I've received some concerns about the Montwood High School parking lot and just the parking situation, and we have a temporary fence up there, but I just want to clarify, or I don't know if you can, somebody can, maybe that the fence that is up there was something that we put up to protect the band students and not because of any construction that's going on, so.
That fence is dedicated for the band program.
Right, and so that fence is gonna stay there.
Yes,
And
sir.
the reason that that fence is there is because when the fence wasn't there, we had people basically exposing the band members to dangerous situations because they would cut through the parking lot and they would speed through the parking lot. So the purpose of the fence is to protect the students and not to enclose construction, correct?
You are correct.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item then. Strategic Plan, Priority 4, Objective 1, Facility Expansion, and Objective 2, Equity of Funds. Ms. Perez.
Hello again. Vicki Perez, Chief Financial Officer. And I wanted to give the board an update on where we are with our strategic plan number 4, priority 4. So priority 4 deals with the operational transparency. It is a transparent and efficient process to ensure equitable distribution of district resources. The ones we're going to talk about are 4.1, facility expansion, and 4.2, equity of funds. So I'm going to talk about 4.2 first. That is the equity of funds. And I won't go over every single one of these items, but what I will go over are 4.2A. One of the strategic actions is to perform facilities and capacity assessment. Our measurement on that one was whether we would engage with a facility assessment company to do a capacity, facility, and demography. And the long-term measure of this is by the end of 2024, SISD will ensure a facility and a capacity assessment is complete and a plan for future capacity needs is met. So to update on you, 4.2, we have done a facility assessment. They have evaluated the conditions of any facility that is older, so 15 years and older. They looked at anything from flooring, roofing, plumbing, electrical, whatever they could look for that would seem like a deficiency, that's exactly what they were looking at. That information was prioritized based on an FCI, the Facility Condition Index, and that was reported to our Facility Advisory Committee. So as of right now, 4.2 is complete up to, except for the long-term measures, because we still need to make sure that we have a plan for our future facilities. So we can check that one off on the list. We've also done a security assessment. So they looked at all of the campuses. They had started with the elementaries, and we just decided, okay, we're going to do all of the campuses. And they looked at fencing, entryways, what does it look like for future TEA security audits. And so they gave us an assessment of their recommendations based on our TEA requirements. That's how we prioritized. And that was also presented to the Facility Advisory Committee. The next strategic plan was 4.1, and that's facility expansion. So 4.1B says that we will evaluate the state of all campuses and district facilities and prepare a long-range facilities plan. Our method of measurement was if we met with our key stakeholders to ensure alignment of current state compared to future needs. And our long-term measure is that by 2024, SISD will have a plan for funding for future facilities. Oh, I forgot I did that. So we have our Facilities Advisory Committee that was formed this year. I believe it was in March 2023, comprised of 36 members Parent Education Foundation, employee associations, partners in education, local government, and business leaders. And from that, that's where they got all the facility assessment, the security assessment. They talked about what they felt were priorities, and they bulked them up into 6 different categories: additional facilities, facility equity, safety, transportation, technology, and growth. And so now our next step on that one is to make sure that we have a plan for our funding. One of the steps on the plan for funding is something that we have on our agenda for this evening, which is a defeasance. And so that will help retire $11.5 million of our debt so that we can start making sure that we have some of that bought down and we're preparing for future debt, whenever that may be. And then that would be hopefully within the next 5 years. So that is the summary of our 4.1 and 4.2. Any questions?
Are questions for Ms. Bettis?
For the facilities assessment, you mentioned the FCI.
Yes.
Have we received that before by campus? And do you know what percentages they use, like for educational adequacy and for utilization and just the overall condition of the campuses? Do you know what percentage, and did we receive that?
I have not compiled, because I have to go by feeder pattern. I have not compiled the feeder pattern information. However, we have forwarded you the logins for the facility assessment. And so each campus and each criteria that you are asking about does have that very specific FCI rating. So that you will drop down on the menu, pick your campus, and then you can choose by whatever criteria you would like, and it will give you that FCI.
And when because it says reported to the Facilities Advisory Committee, so were they ranked in any way?
Was what ranked specifically, ma'am?
As far as the buildings based on the FCI? Because I'm assuming that they ranked them and that's how they potentially created the needs for the bond?
Correct. Yes, so the FCI ratings were ranked based on the priority and the need. And so if it was in the red, then that would be something that they would put on the list of like suggested recommendations. And so if it was not much of a priority, like maybe the flooring was great, so then that one was not even brought up at all. But it was presented to the committee.
I'll look for it. If not, I'll ask, because that's what I'm looking for. Like, what was identified in the red and how was it identified? So I'll look. Thank you.
Yes, each individual page does have that information. And as I mentioned before, that is a intense and robust program. So aside from having it summarized, which the printing ability on it is not very good, but going into each individual campus would probably be the best way to note each one, because it does have quite a bit of information for each campus.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gardea, you had a question, ma'am?
No, I was just going to ask you if you could tell me what a defeasance was.
Defeasance is it is an order. You know, I do have Mr. Magallanes, our financial advisor, here.
We have an agenda item on that.
Yes.
Is it okay to answer that when we get to that agenda item?
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Bettis? Thank you, Ms. Bettis.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Moving on, we're at our consent agenda.
Item 4A,
Item,
5C.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
4A,
5C,
5C,
C, H,
H.
B.
Oh,
no, that's new business.
Yes,
Never mind.
ma'am.
Sorry.
Any others?
Motion to approve consent agenda with the exception of items 4A, 5C, and H.
Second.
I have a motion made by Ms. Nájera, second by Mr. Guerra. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And the item passes. We then go on to consent agenda item 4A. Ms. Macias?
Yes, I just wanted just more information of what that entailed. It reads, and you all could read like I did. Currently, SISD Police Department issues citations to violations, and that this is not to replace it, but it's an MOU. Just wanted to know what that was, because it says ability to enforce parking violations.
Good afternoon, Board President, Board members, Superintendent Carmen. We do have the lieutenant with us here today to explain a little bit more. And it's so that the interlocal is to allow the school district, our officers, to cite vehicles and not just a person. So
okay.
That's basically what it is, but I do have the lieutenant here to provide a little more detail.
Good evening. President Nájera, Dr. Carmen, members of the board. Ms. Macias, at present, the officers write a citation to the Justice of the Peace in whatever precinct the school is in. We have to wait for the person to come out, and we have to issue a citation to the person. Under this MOU, the schools that are within the city of El Paso, we can now leave the citation on the windshield and move on. This will assist us, cut some time. If you have a large school like Mountwood, that parent could be anywhere in there, and we'll never find them. So this is just another tool in our tool belt, so we can enforce traffic.
Thank you, and I wanted you to clarify so that our community knows that, and truly it's just to enforce and support our campuses, so thank you for what you do.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve consent agenda item 4A made by Ms. Macias, second by Ms. Nájera. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Moving on, consent agenda 5C. Ms. Macias.
Yes, this is another one that I would love I believe it's also for our SISD PD, so that they could truly highlight what they're doing for our community. I think what I read, it sounds like a great step in the right direction. So I just wanted to give them the floor so that they could truly highlight what they're doing for our community. Sorry if I'm catching you off guard. That's not my intent.
For the crisis intervention?
Yes.
Okay. Also, my apologies, Chief Johnson is not here today. He was
That's
ill.
okay. No, that's okay.
Quite ill today. In light of this, I have Sergeant Escarate here and representative from the Health Network to explain this, which will do a much better job than I, because they worked on it very hard.
Good evening, President, Superintendent, Board. My name is Sergeant Escarate, and I'm in charge of the crisis intervention team that was just formed over the summer. At the beginning of June, myself and 3 of my other officers, we attended a 120-hour course to specialize and get certified for crisis intervention. This kind of models the same thing that the El Paso PD and El Paso SO is doing out in the community. So this, if I can get a couple of seconds, if I can just introduce my team. Also, we did hire one officer from Socorro Police Department who already came with that certification, and she's added to the team as well. So if I can just introduce him real quick, we have Officer Calvillo. She's assigned to the Mountwood and Americas area. She'll handle calls in that area. We have Officer Enriquez, who's down at East Lake. We have Officer Soto. She's the one that came from Socorro PD. She'll be in the El Dorado and Pebble Hills area. And then we have Officer Guerra, who's assigned to the Socorro area. So, and I'm pretty much overseeing their calls, monitoring them. And then this is pretty much just the early stages of what we intend to do, hopefully in the near future, before the end of the school year. We are, and the part of this MOU is to work in collaboration with Emergence Health Network, so that we can start working together and it's an additional tool that we can offer to our students that are in crisis. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the way we currently, or we used to do emergency detentions, but pretty much officers will show up and make a decision. Either the student is in need. At that point, we would refer the student to the hospital, and at that point, it's all in the hospital's hands, their administration. This adds another tool to what we do. It gets the clinicians involved, and they're actually the ones that do most of the evaluation of that student before we actually take the next measures of referring them to the hospital. So it's just an additional tool that we have, and hopefully I could see nothing but great things coming out of this. And this is just the early part, the first part of it, which is an MOU for the what's called the core, which is the clinician officers remote evaluation. And the officers are going to be carrying a tablet that they're going to provide, and then the clinician will make contact through that tablet with the student, offer any services, and then they'll make a determination as to how they can help us and what we can address those issues. So I have Ms. Weindorf here, if she wants to speak a little bit on her part from EHN.
Good evening. As he said, my name is Kristen Weindorf. I'm a program manager with the Crisis Intervention Team with El Paso Police Department. I'm standing in for my chief, Victor Talavera, tonight. So everything he said is correct. CORE has been around for about a year now, maybe give or take. And basically our goal is to divert adolescents or adults from going to a hospital, getting arrested, and we want to just link them to services providing that mental health care that they may need. So if you'd like, I can give you a little rundown of how the call would go. Okay. So of course the officer will get a call from somebody at the school saying, you know, I have an adolescent and she's cutting in the bathroom. The officer will assess for safety and make sure the student doesn't have any weapons. And then once they get their demographic information, some collateral information maybe from other students, the actual student, family members, teachers, etc., they'll go ahead and call us on the iPad. And so it's a video chat on the iPad. The officer will engage with the core specialist, give them all the information of the student and whatever collateral information they have. The specialist will say, okay, I'm ready to talk to the student. Pass over the iPad. The specialist will engage with the student for however long they need while they're completing a crisis and lethality assessment, which asks a whole slew of different questions. Once the specialist is done evaluating the student, they will ask the student to please give back the iPad to the officer, where the specialist will then discuss with the officer, okay, this is what I determined. I'm going to talk to my supervisor and I'm possibly going to refer inpatient, or you know what, I'm going to link them to outpatient services, meaning an appointment with one of our clinics for adolescents, maybe another community resource that they might need because of something that was brought up by their family, something like that. And then the specialist will communicate that with the officer, the student, and the student's parents if needed, and the administration at the school as well.
Thank you. A big motion to approve?
Second.
A motion to approve the item made by Ms. Macias, a second by Ms. Nájera. Any further discussion?
I just have one question. At what point in that process do you get parent approval, or is the parent involved in that process?
I guess it would depend on your school policy if you're able to get the parent involved from the beginning or you're already working on that. That way we can get consent. Like if you're trusted personnel, you could say, you know what, I spoke to mom. Mom said that she's okay with you speaking with her, or the student, mom, dad, guardian, whoever it may be.
Okay, thank you.
Comment from me first. Ms. Macias, thank you for pulling the item.
It's wonderful.
And certainly for bringing attention to a program like this. I'm familiar with the El Paso Police Department program and the success, I would say, that they've had, as well as the Sheriff's Office. I'm glad to see that we're adopting something like this as well. We heard from someone during the open forum about the concerns regarding mental health, and it's good to see that we are putting a program like this in place to where we don't just place someone in the system, and many times it is for the safety of the officer, of the staff, of the campus, right? But here is a program that allows us to focus not only on de-escalation, but on the mental and emotional health of the student as well. So I commend the effort, and I'm glad to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
First by Ms. Macias, second by Ms. Nájera. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service.
Last item pulled from the consent agenda, that would be 9H. Ms. Macias.
Yes. On this one, I also just wanted to give our administration the opportunity to give kudos to some that actually donated. So just a couple of highlights for those that have gone above and beyond to support our SISD.
Thank you, Ms. Macias. So overall, board policy CE local does state that anything over 25,000 does have to have board approval. However, we have so many donations throughout the year, and they don't always equal to 25,000, but in an aggregate, it might. And I think it's important that we bring that to the board, and also for the public, like Ms. Macias requested, for the public to hear like the great things that our campuses are doing and our vendors. So I'll give you the top 4 schools. We have Montwood High School with a total of 29,908 donated. Socorro High School, 24,488. Eastlake High School, 22,328. And El Dorado High School with $14,056. Our top donors for the fiscal year of 2023 was Rack Room Shoes, Nair, Hall Ryan Construction LLC, and Marathon Petroleum Company. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to highlight. I think it's important that we always recognize our top donors and our partners in education. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion made by Ms. Macias for item, consent agenda item H, second by Ms. Nájera. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you, Ms. Perez.
Yes, sir.
No, she can't.
Continuing, don't go anywhere. Continuing then with new business, and out of necessity for order of precedence, we're going to present item 10B first, then return to 10A. 10B is consider approval of an order authorizing the defeasance and redemption of a portion of the district's outstanding unlimited tax bonds. Ms. Perez.
Yes, sir. So the order in front of you is a defeasance order to buy down our debt. It's very much like prepayment on your principal. And so doing this would not only decrease our overall principal, but eliminate a lot of the interest payment that we would be doing. So that would be in order to help us, again, buy down our large debt that we do have. And we do have Angel Magallanes, our financial advisor here, in case y'all do have any additional questions. Yes, ma'am.
Questions?
One of the questions I have is, those funds, I know that we want to buy down our debt, what else could we use them for? Or is it specifically for, are they targeted for this, I guess, this lane?
It would be specifically for buying down our debt. It would allow us to maintain the same rate of INS tax rate, and that extra amount that we would be getting would be going towards payments only. That is all that we can pay off of our debt fund.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Perez, so let me restate that. Because the funds for this come specifically from the INS rate, the only thing that we can do is buy down debt.
Correct.
Okay.
And so since the order for authorizing the defeasance is so that we are intentional about what we are doing. We are adopting a tax rate at a certain rate, and our intent is to go towards buying down that debt.
Okay. Do we need to read out the entire order?
Yes? Yes, sir, please.
We do. Okay. Page number 364.
Would you like me to read that for you, sir? I'm okay with that.
All right, I got it. You're all right? Is that okay? All right. Order authorizing the defeasance and redemption of a portion of the district's outstanding unlimited tax bonds and approving other matters related to the subject. Whereas Socorro Independent School District, the district has issued and has outstanding the following obligation amongst others. Socorro Independent School District Unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2015A, dated May 15th, 2015, currently outstanding in the aggregate principal amount of $11,200,000. The Series 2015A bonds, and whereas the Series 2015A bonds may be redeemed prior their stated maturities in whole or in part at the option of the district on February 15th, 2025, or any date thereafter, at a redemption price equal to the principal to be redeemed plus accrued interest to the date of redemption. Whereas this Board of Trustees of the district finds and determines that it is necessary and in the best interest of the district to defease, redeem, and/or discharge a portion of the outstanding bonds, the defeased bonds, and whereas the funds available to the district for such defeasance, redemption, and/or discharge is, at the date of adoption of this order, estimated to be between $11 million and $11,500,000, and such amount will be known to the district after February 1, 2023, when current taxes become delinquent and the tax collections available for defeasance are ascertained. And whereas to accomplish the purpose of this order and to achieve the benefits described above, the board has determined to authorize the superintendent of schools, the deputy superintendent, the chief financial officer, and the president of the board, each an authorized officer, any one or more of said officials, to determine the amount of the defeased bonds based on tax collections, but assuming sufficient collections, within the range specified in the immediately preceding paragraph, the amount to be defeased. And whereas it is hereby officially found and determined that the meeting at which this order was passed was open to the public, and public notice of the time, place, and purpose of said meeting was given, all as required by Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Therefore, be it ordered by the Board of Trustees of Socorro Independent School District, Section 1, Findings. The declarations, determinations, and findings declared and made found in the preamble to this order are hereby adopted, restated, and made a part of the operative provisions hereof. Section 2, Defeasance and Redemption of Bonds. A, the defeased bonds are ordered to be defeased prior to the end of the district's 2023-2024 school year on a date selected by an authorized officer, the defeasance date. On or before the defeasance date, the district shall deposit with or make available to the Bank of the New York Mellon Trust Company, NABONY, or any successor or alternative legally permitted entity chosen by the authorized officer, the escrow agent as set forth in the following section. You're going to tell me I didn't have to read it?
No, just that first section was good, yes.
Okay.
Not the extent after that, but no.
So I'm
thank
good.
you. Yes.
We were arguing about who was going to tell you.
Somebody, please give me a motion.
Happy birthday.
I haven't read in class since I was in high school.
Nobody's watching, sir. It's okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve so that I no longer read. I have a motion to approve made by Ms. Nájera, second by Ms. Macias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Now we will return to 10A. Consider approval of the resolution for adopting the maintenance and operations rate and the interest and sinking rate for 2023-2024. Ms. Bettis.
Yes, sir. So the recommendation from administration is that the board adopt the tax rates for maintenance and operation per $100 valuation of property in the school district for the school year 23-24 shall be 0.754600. The interest and sinking tax rate per $100 evaluation of property in the school district for the school year 23-24 be 0.495112, and for the total tax rate for the 23-24 school year be $1.24712. Any questions, sir?
No questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Macias.
Was there anything that we could have done to decrease the tax rate?
Absolutely, there is. However, in order for us to, if we decrease the tax rate, we wouldn't be able to do the same defeasance that we have. And so there isn't much of an increase considering we have the $100,000 exemption. So this is a good time, in my opinion, to use those excess tax collections towards the defeasance.
So to summarize, if we didn't do the defeasance, then we could have decreased our tax rate.
That is correct, yes.
By how much?
I don't have the no new revenue rate with me, but I can get that information for you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Pettis, by doing the defeasance, do you know by any chance the amount of interest that we'd be saving?
Oh, that is a very good question.
President Nájera, trustees, Dr. Carmen, Angel Mayanes with Estrada Hinojosa. We're your financial advisors on the debt service, so we manage that and look at that, analyze that all the time. So depending on when we actually do the defeasance in March, depending on how much is collected in excess, we're looking at approximately over 1.5 million in actual interest savings. We'll be going about, it's about 8-9 years of actual interest that will be saved on that. So the question is, will a decrease in the tax rate, will that help out the taxpayer? So your average taxpayer right now in Socorro ISD, they're looking at approximately $700 in a decrease in taxes just with the tax rate staying the same. And every extra penny to that taxpayer is approximately $11 to $12 to that taxpayer. So there is a significant savings already just with the homestead exemption alone. But yes, the defeasance resolution will know on the exact savings depending on how much excess revenue is collected in March.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that it was transparent and everything was on record so that everybody knew exactly what we were approving and why.
No,
Thank you.
most definitely. No, thank you. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And then, Ms. Pettis, I know that having had to do this before while I was working at, back then, Thomason, I remember the requirements for the notice that had to be published, and basically it's a form that we complete. So while the form, in my opinion, is difficult to understand and requires reading and interpretation, you have to read it 3, 4, maybe 5 times to understand what it is saying. We do not have, or at least I didn't, and I want to confirm that we still don't, we don't have an option as to what that form looks like. Basically, we are given the form. There are blanks there that we complete, but we cannot change the language, the construction, the layout, or anything else on the form. All we do is fill in the blanks and then publish it. Is that still correct?
That is correct, sir. And while it's not required that we do it 2 times, because we have done this in June, we did this prior to our budget adoption, we do it as a courtesy because at this point, our certified values are available. And so if anything, this provides much more clarity on where we are at this moment in time. And then there are different timelines that we have to take into consideration. Certified values come out on July 25th. Maximum compressed rates come out from TEA on August 5th. Our deadlines to get to the newspaper are a week before. So there are different variables and all of that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pettis. It
Yes, sir.
sometimes reminds me of, trying to read those paragraphs and make sense of them when you go into the voting booth on election day, and
Yes.
very difficult sometimes to determine what you select so that you vote the way that you want to vote. And,
Right.
Sometimes the notices seem to be just as confusing, but again, beyond our control. Thank you, Ms. Pettis. Do
Yes, sir.
you have a motion?
Motion to approve?
I second.
I have a motion to approve made by Ms. Nájera, second by Ms. Macias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The item passes. Thank you, Ms. Pettis. Returning to Ms. Fierro, 10C, consider approval of final deductive change order and final contract payment for the SISD environmental system upgrade at the Aquatic Center.
Board President, Mr. Nájera, Dr. Carmen, board members, Facilities and Construction is presenting to you the final deductive change order and final contract payment for the SISD environmental system upgrade at the Aquatic Center. The original contract sum is $2,099,000. The deductive change order, it's for $40,717. 13.55. Final contract sum, $2,058,982.45. And we have a final payment of $113,132.29. Do you have any questions?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Motion to approve made by Ms. Macias, second by Ms. Gardea. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fierro. 10D, consider approval of the T-Test certified administrators. Dr. Gonzalez.
Mr. Naja, I'm going to let Lynette to present. She's in charge of T-Test in the district, just to do her debut on presenting.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Nájera, board members, and Dr. Carmen. My name is Lynette Vidales. I'm a director in Human Resources. Human Resources is requesting approval of a list of T-Test certified appraisers in accordance with DNA Local. And this is to serve as a school appraiser should a teacher, a second appraiser should a teacher request one. So you do have a list in front of you. So that, again, if a teacher requests a second appraiser, we do have a list to pull from. Are there any questions?
Ms. Vidales, I'm sorry. Ms. Vidales, in the policy, I believe you said DNA local.
Yes, sir.
The agenda says DNA legal. Just point of clarification.
It's in both.
Okay, thank you.
And regulation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Yes, sir.
I have a motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra.
I second.
Quick question. No, it was good.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra, second by Ms. Gardea. Discussion, Ms. Macias.
Yes, just a quick question. As far as T-Test certified administrators, are there certain levels that have to have T-Test as they come on board or are on board?
I'm sorry, can you clarify the question for me?
Yes, so is T-Test required for certain positions?
Yes. So for assistant principals, for example, for principal, for administrative, anybody that oversees classroom instruction.
Yes, the T-Test certification is to be legally and by policy.
Dr. Gonzalez, the mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Is to be an appraiser for teachers. So
Thank you for that
yes.
clarification.
Okay. Motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra, second by Ms. Gardea. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Thank you.
10E, discussion and possible action to consider and approve the administration's recommendation regarding designation of 10 non-business Public Information Act days. Mr. Redlinger.
Good evening, Board President Mr. Nájera, Superintendent Dr. Carmen, and members of the board. My name is Mr. Thomas Redlinger, Human Resources Director of Employee Relations. Administration recommends consideration and approval that the district designate for the calendar year 2023 the following 10 non-business PIA days for consideration and responses to Public Information Act requests. The following dates that we would like to have is November the 22nd, 2023, November the 24th, 2023, December 19, 20, 21, and 22 of 2023, and December 26th, 27, 28, and 29 of 2023. I'm available for any questions that you might have.
Questions? Mr. Redlinger, I believe that this is the result of, was it legislation that was passed?
Yes, this is as per House Bill 3033.
Okay. And so all this does is it allows us to identify non-business days, which for the most part coincide with standard federal holidays, so that if those days happen to fall within the response time, the 30 days that we have to respond, those days are excluded from the count, correct?
Yes, sir. And to be more, to make sure you understand that, it does accept on Saturdays and Sundays any national holiday under section 662.003A or any state holiday under section 662.003B.
And I believe from previous discussion, Mr. Redlinger, the dates also happen to coincide with times that we get the lowest number of requests, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
I second.
I have a motion to approve made by Ms. Nájera, second by Ms. Macias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Moving on to item F, discuss and consider board approval of a delegate and alternate to the 2023 Texas Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly. The 2023 TASGET Delegate Assembly will be held September 30th during the TexEdCon 23 TASA-TASB Convention in Dallas. A delegate and alternate are needed from Socorro ISD to represent our interests before state and national policymakers.
Mr. Nájera, if I may make a motion to name Maribel Macias as our delegate and Michael Nájera as our alternate.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve Ms. Macias as the delegate and myself as the alternate made by Mr. Guerra, seconded by Ms. Gardea. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. All right. Moving on now to executive session. The meeting is to be closed to receive and discuss recommendation of administration regarding possible sale of district-owned real property located at the subject property legally described as a portion of lots 11, 12, and 13 and portions of right-of-way out of Saltzgaber Street, Chesterton Street, Fairglade Street, Chittenden Street, Ashtabula Avenue, and Brandywine Road in the Gateway Estates subdivision in El Paso County, Texas, and to consider administrative recommendations for principal positions at John Drugan School, Montwood High School, and Paso del Norte School. Assistant principal positions at Colonel Ben Narbeth Elementary School, James P. Butler Elementary School, Americas High School, and East Lake High School under Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. The date is 8/16, and the time is 8:08. I am now, I guess. I am. Okay. I'll double check. We're back in session. The time is 9:01. We've confirmed a quorum, and the date is still 8:16. Continuing with new business, discussion of possible action regarding recommendation of administration for the possible sale of district-owned real property. Rodriguez.
I'd like to make the following motion. A motion to authorize the representative of the district to enter into a contract with Provident Realty Advisors, Inc. to accept the offer of $10,600,000 to purchase the property located at Lot 11, 12, and 13 and portion of right-of-way out of Salzgarber Street, Chesterton Street, Fairglade Street, Chittenden Street, Ashtabula Avenue, Brandywine Road, in the Gateway Estates subdivision of El Paso County, Texas, and authorize the District Council to prepare any and all documentation for the sale of said district property.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra, seconded by Ms. Gardea. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item passes. 12B, consider approval of administrative recommendations. We'll start with the principals. John Drugan School, Dr. Carmen.
Administration recommends Frenda Serra Gerardo to assume the role and responsibilities as the new principal of John Drugan School.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra, second by Ms. Gardea. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Congratulations. Next principal, Paso del Norte Fine Arts Academy.
Sir, President Nájera, members of the board, administration recommends Melissa Smith to assume the role and responsibilities as the new principal of Paso del Norte Fine Arts Academy.
Motion to approve. I second.
Motion to approve made by Ms. Gardea, second by Ms. Macias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Congratulations, Ms. Smith. Principal at Monwood High School, Dr. Carmen.
Yes, sir. President Nájera, members of the board, administration recommends David Herrera to assume the role and responsibilities as the new principal of Montwood High School.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra, second by Ms. Macias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Congratulations, Mr. Herrera. Moving on to assistant principals. We'll start with Colonel Ben Narberth Elementary School. Dr. Carmen.
President Nájera, members of the board, administration recommends Melissa Rodriguez to assume the role and responsibilities as the new principal of Colonel Ben Narberth Elementary School.
Motion to approve. I second.
Motion to approve made by Ms. Gardea, second by Ms. Macias. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Rodriguez. Dr. Carmen, AP at James Butler.
Yes, sir. President Nájera, members of the board, administration recommends Elizabeth Garcia to assume the role and responsibilities as the new assistant principal of James P. Butler Elementary School.
Approve.
Second.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Guerra, second by Ms. Macias. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Congratulations. Dr. Carmen, Assistant Principal at Americas High School.
President Nájera, members of the board, administration does not have a recommendation at this time for assistant principal of Americas High School.
Dr. Carmen, then moving on to AP at Eastlake High School.
Sir. President Nájera, members of the board, administration recommends Alfredo Gomez to assume the role and responsibilities as the new assistant principal of Eastlake High School.
Motion to approve. I second.
Motion to approve made by Ms. Macias, second by Mr. Guerra. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Congratulations, Mr. Gomez. There being no further business before the board, we are adjourned at 9:06. The date is still 8:16.